is John Paul. Welcome to Fat Loss Cooking Channel. For today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make a Cajun rice and beans. See, the reason why I am creating this recipe is to counter the conventional belief that eating healthy is expensive. Personally, I don't really like using the word healthy because, like what I've said in my previous episode, the word healthy sounds too gimmicky. But in the context of promoting a better health, in the context of getting foods with plenty of nutrients, we are going to use the word healthy in this context. Now, in real world scenario, people opt to buy $1 burger, for example, because it is tastier compared to rice and beans. See, the problem is people really have no clue how to make rice and beans tasty. This is why I am creating this recipe, so people will be able to afford a cheap source of nutrition. By the way, this recipe is highly customizable because I'm really dedicating this recipe for people who are on a tight financial budget. But since I just finished training my legs today, I'm going to readjust the macros so it will fit my post-workout nutrition instead today. Now, the first ingredient, you need about 165 grams of cooked brown rice or white rice. For this recipe, I'm going to use brown rice simply because I personally prefer brown rice. You also need 125 grams of canned black beans. You may also use the raw beans if you like, but for the purpose of convenience, we are just going to use the canned version. You also need 8 ounces of 90% ground beef or leaner. I'm only using the 90% in this recipe simply because I was able to buy this beef on sale yesterday. Now, if you are really on a tight budget, you may skip the meat or even use 2 ounces or 4 ounces if you are really on a tight financial budget. So in that context, simply increase the beans and the portion of the rice. You also need 2 tablespoons of finely chopped red bell pepper. You also need 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce. Now, since we are going to make a Cajun recipe for today, we are going to need plenty of spices. So you need onion powder, paprika, ground black pepper, garlic powder, thyme leaves, oregano leaves, and some cayenne powder. See, you don't have to buy anything fancy. If you have an access to a local 99-cent store, simply get them from there. Or simply buy the store brand or any generic cheap brand which you can get. They're all the same, trust me. Before we start spicing our ingredients, you may want to start preheating your skillet using a medium-high heat, and you may want to start putting a teaspoon of peanut oil or a rapeseed oil. Now, if you are wondering how come I am consuming a fatty meal on my post-workout, well, to be honest, unless you are training for glycogen depletion for recreational trainees like myself, ingesting of simple carbs and protein is adequate enough for majority of recreational trainees, since most average people spend majority of their time in their postprandial state anyway. Now we are going to spice the meat with some paprika and cayenne powder. See, you don't have to use the spices sparingly, since these spices really doesn't contain any calories at all. Now we are going to spice the rice with paprika, onion powder, ground black pepper, thyme leaves, oregano, and garlic powder. You don't have to sprinkle the spices in any particular order, so just as long as you put them all in the rice. Now that the skillet is hot enough, we may now start to pan fry our ground beef. So when the meat starts turning brown, you may start sprinkling the soy sauce over it. Once the meat starts changing its color into brown like that, you may now start adding the rice and then the beans. Now let it simmer for another 3 minutes or so, and then you may now start adding the chopped bell peppers. Now, if you have been watching my previous episodes of Fat Loss Cooking channel, you should know that I'm a big fan of spicy foods. So now, to make our Cajun rice and beans even spicier, the optional ingredient is a tablespoon of Sriracha hot sauce. So if you don't have an access to a Sriracha hot sauce, simply use any hot sauce of your choice. Or if you prefer your foods not too spicy at all, simply skip it. After another 2 minutes of pan frying all the ingredients, look at the size of this bad boy. You now have your very inexpensive, good source of nutrition. I just had a bite. It was so delicious. Now, as far as the numbers are concerned, the total calorie content of our Cajun rice and beans came up to 728 calories with 58 grams of protein, 31 grams of fat, and 54 grams of carbohydrates. Like what I've said earlier, the recipe is highly customizable depending on how much ingredients that you use, or depending on the leanness of the meat, or if you simply skip the cooking oil on frying the meat. So in that context, if you are on your feeding day, you may simply slash the fat or use lean meat as a substitute to slash the fat content. Now, if you are liking my recipes, please subscribe, share my channel, and leave me some comments or feedbacks for some future recipes that you wanted me to cook. Again, my name is John Paul. I will see you in the next episode of Fat Loss Cooking Channel.